China's military shock. Missiles filled with water trigger Jinping's top-level purge. China's armed forces face severe corruption issues, including missiles filled with water instead of fuel and improperly sealed silo lids, according to US intelligence sources cited by Bloomberg. The revelations led Chinese leader Xi Jinping to remove over a dozen senior commanders in the People's Liberation Army, PLA, including Defense Minister Li Shangfu, who vanished for 2 months before being replaced in October. The corruption was particularly rampant in the Rocket Force, China's primary military branch overseeing nuclear weapons. The purge has raised concerns about the nation's ability to undertake major military actions, potentially impacting Xi's push to rapidly modernize Beijing's forces. The Rocket Force's significance in China's posturing toward Taiwan, highlighted by the deployment of long-range missiles threatening the self-governed island, was underscored. Despite satellite images revealing the construction of numerous nuclear-capable missile silos in Xinjiang in 2021, US intelligence noted corruption examples, such as poorly sealed silo lids hindering missile launches in Western China. The specific type of missiles filled with water was not disclosed in the report. The corruption issues are believed to have undermined Xi's modernization policies and confidence in the Rocket Force's capabilities. While Xi's purge had long been linked to his anti-corruption campaign, the exact reasons remained unclear. Among the dismissed commanders, at least 3 held key positions in the Rocket Force, and 4 were responsible for equipment, as reported by Reuters. The PLA, in its New Year's Day statement, emphasized the importance of vigilance against corruption, acknowledging the ongoing battle against corruption. Despite the significant implications of the corruption scandal, the Chinese embassy in Washington did not provide immediate comments when approached by Bloomberg outside regular business hours. Despite the significant implications of the corruption scandal, the Chinese embassy in Washington did not provide immediate comments when approached by Bloomberg outside regular business hours. From the procurement of substandard equipment to the misappropriation of funds, these early instances of corruption were just the tip of the iceberg. One of the most egregious examples was the missile scandal of the early 90s. In a shocking revelation, it was discovered that some missiles were filled with water instead of fuel. This scandal, which came to light through an internal investigation, sent shockwaves through the military establishment. But that wasn't all. There were also reports of improperly sealed silo lids, a gross oversight that could have catastrophic consequences. These instances were not mere oversights or errors in judgment. They were symptomatic of a larger problem, a culture of corruption that had seeped into the very fabric of the military establishment. The initial reactions to these discoveries were mixed. While some in the military hierarchy tried to downplay the issue, others called for immediate action. Yet, in the face of such widespread corruption, the road to reform was a long and arduous one. The Chinese government, for its part, vowed to crack down on corruption within the military. However, despite their best efforts, the problem persisted, revealing the deep-seated nature of this issue. As we can see, the roots of corruption run deep in the history of China's armed forces. From its early days to the present, corruption has been a persistent and pervasive problem, one that continues to cast a long shadow over China's military might. Deception and fraud took on a whole new level with missiles filled with water instead of fuel. Imagine, if you will, a missile, a symbol of power and defense, suddenly reduced to an empty shell, a mere facade filled with nothing more than water. That's right, water. Not the high-grade rocket fuel you'd expect to find coursing through the veins of these formidable weapons. Now you might think this is some sort of joke, but it's far from it. This is a real, tangible instance of corruption that has seeped into the very core of the armed forces. It's not just the water-filled missiles that raise eyebrows. It's also the improperly sealed silo lids that add another layer to this tale of deceit. These silo lids, designed to protect the missile within, are found to be improperly sealed. This might seem like a minor oversight, but it's not. In fact, it's a serious flaw that could compromise the missile's integrity and functionality. It could lead to exposure to the elements, damage to the missile, or worse, a failure when the missile is launched. Such actions, or shall we say inactions, have grave implications on the military's effectiveness and credibility. They not only undermine the strength and readiness of the armed forces, but also compromise national security. It sends a chilling message to the world about the state of affairs within the military ranks. These instances of corruption are not isolated incidents. They're part of a larger, more systemic problem. They reflect a culture of deceit and negligence that has somehow taken root within the armed forces. This isn't just about water-filled missiles or improperly sealed silo lids. This is about the erosion of integrity, the loss of trust, and the tarnishing of a once respected institution. It's about the very essence of what a military force should stand for: honor, duty, and service. The extent of the deceit is both shocking and concerning. It's a wake-up call for change, a clarion call for reform. Because the depth of this deceit is not just a reflection of the past, but a harbinger of the future. And that future, if left unchecked, could be fraught with danger and uncertainty. It was the US intelligence that unveiled the true face of China's armed forces. In a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting, information is the key to maintaining an edge. And it was through the diligent efforts of US intelligence agencies that the veil was lifted on the depth of corruption within China's military. As reported by Bloomberg, the intelligence sources revealed shocking details. Missiles filled with water instead of fuel, improperly sealed silo lids, and more. Each revelation painted a picture of negligence and greed that went beyond the realm of comprehension. The global community's reaction was swift and pointed. Diplomats began to question the integrity of China's military capabilities, causing a ripple effect in international relations. Allies began to second-guess their partnerships, and adversaries saw an opportunity to exploit this newfound weakness. This was not a mere blip on the radar. It was a seismic shift in the global perception of China's military might. The impact on China's international relations was significant. Trust, once lost, is hard to regain. The revelations led to strained relationships, diplomatic tensions, and a general sense of unease about China's commitment to global security norms. Corruption, especially at such a high level, is not just an internal issue. It affects the global stage, creating ripples of uncertainty that can lead to instability. And in a world already fraught with conflict, this revelation added another layer of complexity to the international relations puzzle. The international community's response has been to hold China accountable. There have been calls for transparency, for checks and balances, for a commitment to integrity. But the road to rebuilding trust is long and fraught with challenges. The revelation by US intelligence sources was a significant blow to China's military reputation. The world watched as the facade crumbled, revealing a reality far removed from the image China had sought to project. But, as with all things, the truth has a way of coming to light. And in this case, the light shone brightly on the corruption within China's armed forces. So what have we learned from this deep dive into the corruption within China's armed forces? We've discovered that corruption isn't a recent phenomenon, but has deep roots dating back several years. It has evolved from simple bribery to complex systems of fraud that have affected every level of the military hierarchy. We've seen how this corruption has manifested in shocking ways, such as missiles filled with water instead of fuel and improperly sealed silo lids. These aren't mere oversights, but deliberate acts of deception that have put the safety of countless individuals at risk. Moreover, we've examined the far-reaching implications of these corrupt practices. They have not only eroded the morale within the armed forces, but also called into question China's credibility on the international stage. The military's lack of integrity has led to a loss of faith among its allies and has raised alarm bells for countries worldwide. The revelations have also highlighted the pressing need for transparency and accountability within China's armed forces. It's become evident that internal checks and balances aren't enough to curb the rampant corruption, and more stringent measures are required. Although the Chinese government, under President Xi Jinping, has launched anti-corruption campaigns, the effectiveness of these efforts remains to be seen. They face a daunting task of not only weeding out the existing corruption, but also instilling a culture of integrity and honesty that prevents such practices in the future. In conclusion, the corruption within China's armed forces is a complex issue with far-reaching implications. It serves as a stark reminder of the devastating effects of corruption on an institution's credibility and effectiveness. The integrity of China's armed forces remains under scrutiny, a testament to the lasting effects of corruption.